Attorney what?
Fact.
Attorney of fact. And what does that mean?
His authorization to do legal representation.
Are you a licensed attorney?
No, I'm simply a attorney of fact.
Okay. And does that mean you have a power of attorney? What is your name? What is your name?
All right, everyone. Today's court hearing is pretty crazy. The papers say the man's name is Matthew Aldridge, but when he stands at the podium, he refuses to use that name. Instead, he claims he doesn't have a name and says he's an attorney of fact, which isn't actually a real legal role. People who follow sovereign citizen ideas often argue that the court has no authority over them. But the truth is simple. Courts have power over anyone within their area. The judge isn't convinced at all and quickly shuts the argument down. By the end, the judge clearly outsmarts him. Let's take a look at what happened.
Yes, sir.
I don't have.
You don't have a name? Pardon?
I'm an attorney of fact for the respondent area.
Well, let me explain to you. Only an attorney at law can stand in court and represent a criminal defendant. And to do so otherwise violates the criminal law statutes of the state of Tennessee and could land someone who attempts to represent themselves as an attorney at law in serious trouble. I understand what you're saying. I understand you're saying an attorney in fact. And what I want you to understand is that if you have a power of attorney, then you need to demonstrate that power of attorney. Do you have a legal document called a power of attorney?
No, I do not this time.
Okay. Then you don't have any authority to act on behalf of Matthew Aldridge in this court. You have no legal authority, nor do you have any authority through a legal document to represent or to act on behalf of Matthew Aldridge.
Why don't we court just let me file this document?
Show it to the bailiff and he'll show it to me. Apparently there's a copy here.
Here's the thing. The guy is claiming to be an attorney of fact, and to support that claim, he hands the judge a piece of paper. You didn't see it earlier because the moment was a bit slow, but the document basically quoted a made-up law that he says gives him the right to represent someone named Matthew Aldridge. For anyone wondering, real attorneys have to be licensed by the state and follow established legal procedures. You can't just write something on a piece of paper and declare yourself a legal representative. People who follow sovereign citizen ideas often argue about jurisdiction, acting as if simply declaring themselves above the law will work. But it doesn't. Courts rely on established laws, not imaginary ones, and the judge here clearly isn't interested in entertaining these arguments. Honestly, is this sovereign citizen trend becoming more common, or do these strange cases just keep popping up? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Well, I find that Matthew Neal Aldridge has failed to appear personally in this court for the plea day on his case, which is set for trial tomorrow. And as a result, you have no standing, sir, under what I know what you're trying to do is to try to use the sovereign citizen approach to this situation. And I'm simply telling you that you do not have the right to represent Matthew Neal Aldridge. If you are, in fact, Matthew Neal Aldridge, then you need to say so and stop this nonsense, because what you're attempting to do has no legal effect. You cannot challenge the criminal law or the jurisdiction of this court by simply filing some legal mumbo jumbo having to do with civil litigation. That has civil litigation in it. It is not a criminal case that you have cited. So it has no effect on this court regarding the criminal statutes of this court. This court is empowered under the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the state of Tennessee, and by the duly elected citizens of Cheatham County to empower and enforce the laws of the state of Tennessee. And that is what I'm going to do regarding Matthew Lynn Aldridge. Mr. Aldridge is set for today to appear in court personally on what we call our last plea day before his trial date tomorrow.
Is that an article 3 trial?
To what?
Would that be an article 3 trial? A trial by jury with jury?
It would be a trial by jury, certainly it would be. but I don't know who you are. And I don't think you have any authority if you are not Matthew Lynn Aldridge to appear before this court. And you are wasting valuable time to all of these other citizens who are here today. So when I'm talking, you stop talking. No, you will when I'm finished talking. You are wasting the court's time by doing this, and I'm just simply instructing you that if you are in fact Matthew Lynn Aldridge, then this is your last day to settle your case. The trial date is set for tomorrow, and unfortunately, it will not go forward because of the fact that I have a conflict and I have to be in Stewart County on a civil matter. So we're going to assign a new trial date for Matthew Lynn Aldridge. All right. To Matthew Aldridge and the individual standing before me whose name must not be altered,
This judge is handling the situation like a true professional. He stays calm while shutting down the man's arguments at every step. The guy barely even gets a chance to push his attorney of fact claim before the judge starts taking it apart piece by piece. It almost feels like the judge has dealt with this kind of situation many times before. When the man begins quoting his made-up laws, the judge clearly isn't impressed. One funny moment is when the judge points out that the man won't even say his own name. Usually judges stay very serious and expressionless, so that moment stood out. From the start, it's obvious the judge isn't going to waste time on this kind of courtroom circus. In the end, it really shows how pointless and ineffective these kinds of stunts are.
Then we will set a July 15th trial date for Mr. Aldridge. Whatever this document is that you have filed is in fact invalid because it does not cite any valid criminal statute, and therefore I'm denying whatever that might be in the way of a motion. The trial date will be July 15th. The last day for Mr. Aldridge to enter a plea or go to trial will be July the 8th. July the 8th. Now, we're going to give you a card. If you are in fact Matthew Aldridge and you're just playing games with the court regarding this nonsense that you filed, then you may get this card and you may go on about your business. If you are not Matthew Aldridge, then I would suggest to you, you relay to Mr. Aldridge that he must appear on July the 8th, or a bond revocation will take place, and his case will be will take place with him in jail, incarcerated on the 15th. That's the judgment of the court. You need to take your piece of paper and go on about your...
Sovereign citizens are definitely something else. These are people who believe they can opt out of the legal system simply by claiming they don't recognize the government's authority. They often talk about things like common law or the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, but they usually misunderstand how those laws actually work. In reality, courts operate under federal, state, and local laws that have been established for a long time and are supported by the Constitution. There isn't some loophole where a person can just decide that the rules don't apply to them. Yet people with these beliefs often bring strange arguments into court, wasting time and usually ending up with a criminal record instead. Legally, the sovereign citizen defense falls apart because of something called jurisdiction. Courts have authority over anyone within their geographic area, regardless of what legal claims someone makes. These arguments might sound convincing in certain online circles, but judges have heard them many times before and rarely give them any attention. For anyone wondering, trying to avoid taxes or dismiss a ticket using these tactics almost never works. In fact, it can lead to even harsher penalties for wasting the court's time. Honestly, it's hard to understand why people keep trying this. Do they think they're outsmarting the system? Or is it just a form of rebellion? Either way, it usually ends the same way. Instead of changing the system, they just end up embarrassing themselves. That wraps up today's breakdown. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and share your thoughts about sovereign citizens in the comments. Thanks for watching, and take care.